You're listening to the Adventure Sports Podcast. We talk with adventurers from around the globe to give you the inspiration you need to get started in the outdoors or keep moving if you're already there. Now here's your host, Kurt Linville.
Nature inspires. It can provide us with the space we need to process, to discover, to feel. That's a lot of what this episode is about, in addition to the idea of women solo adventuring. It has a lot to do with discovery that nature allows. And it was a joy to talk with Lisa about her books and her experiences in nature and all that. But I think that perhaps the takeaway from this one really is that nature inspires, nature heals, and on some level, I think we're made for it. It's our home. It's where we came from. Thanks, Lisa, for sharing your heart and for sharing amazing stories about the impacts that nature can have. Hi, friends. Welcome to the Adventure Sports Podcast today. I'm excited about this interview because Lisa Michelle is an adventurer, but she uses nature and experiences that she has in nature and lessons learned from nature to inform her writing. And she's written both fiction and nonfiction. She's a best-selling psychological thriller author, which is fantastic. But she's also written a book called True Nature, Hidden in the High Sierra. But she is a snowboarder. She likes fly fishing, long solo hikes. And here's something interesting that we're going to dive into. She wants to talk about the value of women doing solo adventure and that holds some special magic. And I want to know what that is. So, Lisa, welcome to the Adventure Sports Podcast.
Hi, Kurt. Thank you for having me, and I look forward to our conversation.
Before we hit record here, we got started, and we should have hit record way before we did, because we're having so much fun. And that's what's so fun about adventure, I think, is that we already have things in common. From the get-go, I also wrote a book. My sister is an author. You're an author. I love interviewing authors because you guys know how to talk. And that is really a great thing. So anyway, let's get the backstory. Where are you now?
I am at my little office/guest bedroom in just below Kirkwood, California, outside of Tahoe.
Okay, outside of Tahoe.
He's southeast, exactly the opposite, yes, of Truckee.
Just the opposite from Truckee.
Yes.
Well, what an amazing place.
Yeah, it's usually pretty good this time of year, but we're still waiting for snow. You know, it's been pretty slow here. We've got nothing. In fact, I haven't even been snowboarding yet this year. And Facebook keeps reminding me through the memories how much snow we've had in the previous years. And it was just amazing. And yeah, you wouldn't take it for granted anymore.
Well, Tahoe is known for some of the biggest snowfalls and snow seasons of any resort. I mean, that's amazing. I've not been up yet. I've not been to Crested Butte is our local mountain, and I've not been up yet. They're open, and, you know, they have several runs open and that kind of stuff. But right now it's a lot of machine snow, and there's some natural snow too, but it's early in the season. I get a little spoiled, Lisa, to be honest. I think of ski season as February.
It's becoming that for me too. I just get so anxious, you know, I get all my stuff out. And this year I bought a new board with some book money, so I justified it. So I'm dying to get it out, but then again, I don't want to get it out too early and hit all the rocks and But it's I'm ready. I am so ready. I may come to Colorado if it doesn't happen soon.
Yes. Well, I think Colorado is kind of off to an average start this year. We've had better early season years. We've had worse early season years. So it's game on. People are enjoying themselves already. So
yeah, I see all the fun stuff going on over there, and the avalanches too. You guys were getting.
Oh man, avalanches are crazy in our valley, but they haven't been this season yet. But it does happen. You use what you learn from nature to inform your books. I want to dive in right there. Okay. How has adventure and connecting with nature helped you as an author?
So many ways. Just getting from the most minute detail and using senses. You're an author, you understand the senses, the feeling that you get in being in nature. It also, my thrillers always have some sort of outdoor adventure type of situation, whether it's intended or not, they end up there somehow. So
Right.
I think that might be a subconscious thing. But, I started out years ago freelancing in around Tahoe, writing all the outdoor adventure stuff. And we weren't allowed to, they just wanted the facts only.
Yeah.
Go do this. It's fun. Here's where it's at. And so it was really great to revisit some of those hidden gems and be able to figure out by the writing process how much each of those places in nature changed my life overall. So many ways, from the simplest thing like confidence, becoming confident. It's a process. It doesn't just happen, or it doesn't. It's an absolute intended process. And that informs everything. That informs your writing. That helped with having enough confidence to go try something completely different. Nothing to do with being outdoors or in nature or adventure, but being brave enough to, do just simplest everyday things or the most difficult everyday type of things that you don't want to do, but you're like, oh, well, I did this other thing and I can do this.
I've heard that many times. I couldn't agree more. That's what challenging ourselves is about. It's a lot of finding out what we are capable of doing, and that enlarges our lives.
Yeah, and I think for women, I obviously cannot speak for all women. Myself, quite a few of my friends and some of my family, just pushing yourself. It's all relative. If you're the type of person that hasn't been outdoors a lot, but you feel somehow that pull that you want to try something, whether it be go for a bike ride, a hike, go fly fishing, go skiing, take a lesson, to the more extreme type of adventures, right? It's all subjective, and it all builds confidence. Even in the failure, listening to your Epic Bill podcast, even in the failures, man, I think the failures even make it better when you finally do accomplish what it is you've set out. It makes it that much sweeter.
What I loved about Epic Bill is that he would call, I didn't finish the 265-mile race, so I failed. I'm like, no, you didn't. You stopped at a mile 200 or something. It's like, wow.
How did you not crawl or something?
Yes.
You had so much strength, inner strength, and mental fortitude. Just come on.
Well, but I think everybody finds a little bit more of that fortitude when they go out and try things.
Absolutely.
And you never know what you're capable of doing.
No, and sometimes that's when you're pushed to your limits. That is when you find out what you are capable of doing. Nothing to do with any of the adventures in the book, but I did the Inca Trail years ago in Peru. And the night before I left, I got the bad stomach. Well, you can only imagine how terrible hiking. I cannot remember all the elevation game, but it's quite difficult. And you're carrying your own stuff with the bad stomach. And I thought, you have a choice before you start to either fail or go, because once you're in, And my friend was like, if you want to go home, I understand, it's okay. And I had spent all my money. I took everything out of my savings to do this trip. Wow. And I thought, if I die on this trail, I die on this trail, because I am not wasting, I think it was, back then, it was probably close to $4,000, which that was a lot of money for me back then, especially.
Sure.
And I remember just thinking, there's no way I can do this, but one step at a time, and one bathroom break at a time. That sounds so
rough.
Awful, but you got to understand, it was the best of times. It was the worst of times. But once I was done, I thought, oh my God, I just hiked the Inca Trail with the bad stomach. It's hard enough with the good stomach, know?
Right.
And to be able to do that, I look back and I guarantee you, I felt like I could do anything.
Oh, that's amazing. Let's dive into the subject of women's solo adventures. I think that piggybacks off of this a little bit. Why solo?
I've thought about this a lot, because I've done a lot of solo, and I've done a lot of hiking or adventure type stuff, travel with a friend or friends. I tend to lean more towards solo. The psychological aspect of going with friends and being more sociable is probably everyone's first choice, but sometimes it just comes down to logistics. You can't get someone to go with you. They can't take time off work or whatever reason. You end up saying, okay, I'm just going to go. And then for me, I get so much more out of it. I don't know if it's more when you're alone, you're so in tune with what's going on around you, be it nature, be it interaction with just a random person that you meet on the trail. When you're think of your hiking adventures or any sort of adventure, you run into someone when you're both alone, you tend to gravitate towards each other. And I mean, who hasn't on the ski lift made those 5-minute best friends? Like you start spewing things you would never tell a stranger, but you start telling these people things that you're going, oh my God, why did I just say that? But I think it just opens you up. You feel more vulnerable, and I think people sense that. I know I've done some surf travel alone, which at times can be really scary, especially when you're out there at a surf break by yourself. You can feel either like, oh, this is so amazing, I'm out here in the ocean by myself, or there's times my mind has switched to, oh my God, I'm in the ocean out here by myself.
Right.
And I don't know, this doesn't feel good. For whatever reason, I think I'm going to paddle in. Something's making me really uncomfortable. But that being said, it's how you approach it. And I think it just gives women or men, even whoever, so much more self-worth that they are capable of taking care of themselves, being able to just pick up and go somewhere and not have to wait for everyone else's schedule feels freeing. And there's time for your brain, I think, to just, it's almost like a form of meditation. If anybody's done some long distance hikes, they know solo. They know exactly, because you're not having that back and forth conversation, or you're not trying to think of something to say to fill the awkward silence, or, you know, if you've read the book, is my friend really pissed at me right now?
Right.
Because you're in your own head, or you're out of your own head. It's just, to me, it's very spiritual.
You know, that's kind of crazy. Let's stick with a solo for just a second. I want to talk about being a female adventurer solo as well. But I'm an extrovert, and solo adventure has been actually a big part of my life, but never by choice. For me, it was always, well, there's no one else that'll go, so I'm just going. Right? Because I don't seek the alone time, and I have friends who do seek the alone time. They feed on it. They thrive with it. They love it. And for me, when I'm out there and something amazing happens, I'm like, oh, there's no one to share it with. Because that's just the way my mind works. No, I spend all my time thinking about my kids at home or my wife at home and saying, oh man, I wish they were here.
I do that too. I mean, don't get me wrong. There is that. I do think that exact thing for sure. And that's when I'm like, filming everything or taking pictures of everything. And I worked as a freelance writer for a lot of years about outdoor adventure travel. And so I'm very used to taking notes as I'm filming, what I'm seeing, what I'm smelling, what I'm hearing, just all the details to remember to include. But you get my narration along with the filming. But I understand, there's both sides of it. There's pros and cons.
Lisa, what I started doing, I actually made a YouTube channel. I call it Gunny Moto. And the reason is because I'm riding my motorcycle around Gunnison County in the Colorado Rockies here. And we have over 3,000 miles of off-road riding. Oh, so wow. It's crazy. If you strung together all of the twin track, off-road twin track in Gunnison County, it would go coast to coast across America. I mean, you think about that.
Wow.
It's mind-blowing.
I had no idea.
Few people know that, but I thought, well, I'm gonna go explore it. I want to see all that. So I started just taking a GoPro with me so that I could share it if people were interested. No intention of turning it into anything,
Right.
But here's the reason I bring it up. If I take the GoPro, I feel like all my friends are with me. And I ramble on, and people probably hate listening to me because I'm just talking about this, talking about that. Ooh, look at this, Or there's this geology, or there's this history, or there's, this philosophical. But I feel like I've taken everyone with me on the ride, and when I leave the GoPro at home, I feel completely alone. And I'm alone in both cases. Right.
There is that aspect of it for sure, because I can see, I can't wait to get home and show this to my grandson. And
Yeah.
maybe he'll want to hike 15 miles and carry 20 pounds on his back.
Well, it's very interesting to me. And now, here's something that I'm just going to say it out loud and on purpose, okay? People, when we talk about women and adventure, especially solo adventure, we always kind of dance around the subject because you don't want to say, well, women alone, that's something. And I try hard never to say that because I believe in the empowerment of telling everybody, irregardless of their gender or whatever, that they can do it. They can go, they can enjoy it, they can... And so I never want to be the person who says, oh, women shouldn't travel alone, for instance. I think that's a ridiculous mindset. But I'm going to throw it out there so it's on the table. Some women say that.
Oh, absolutely. Well, it's a fact. I mean, let's not dance around it. It is an absolute fact. Men, can I be blunt? Men don't have to worry about, typically, men don't have to worry about being assaulted, raped. It's a real concern. I have been in one situation. I think that should not be enough of a reason for you to not go. Unless you're dealing with some form of abuse or something where you might need a little more security, you should go with a friend. You shouldn't go alone, especially, for a while. Or minus the national parks. I did one hike. I think it was only 2 nights. Have you heard of the Lost Coast in California? It's up in Northern California, Humboldt County. Not. It's a very beautiful place, but it's a very sketchy place, which I didn't realize till I had gotten up there and started hearing the horror stories. But I took a gun with me, a very small little gun. And now that will start the pot, people don't like that. I think that's more controversial than women going alone, whether or not. And I'll tell you what, I had a very uncomfortable situation with 3 gentlemen, and I was grateful to have that gun. You can't predict the future, but you can at least be somewhat prepared, whether it be bear spray, pepper spray. Can no longer take bear spray in Yosemite, which I find absolutely incredibly ridiculous. But
yeah,
because that was more of my go-to, not for the bears. I've never had I have lots of bear experience, but never been a problem other than, a few face-licking bears and a very tight trail situation. But it's just typically, I think, most of the time for myself and people that I have taken out and that end up doing solo stuff, women especially, it is absolutely a process, and it is to be expected to be scared. But it shouldn't be enough to stop you. It's. I think if you do the statistics, it's like you're probably safer out there alone in the wilderness than you are walking across the parking lot at Walmart. Or heck,
yes.
Nowadays, even just, going, watch the news. It's terrible.
Well, the crazy thing is, I'm glad you brought up the news. Everyone knows this, but the news focuses on if it bleeds, it reads. Right. They just want to scare people, and the world's not like that. If your only window to the world is what the nightly news is giving you, then you need a new window. I'm just going to be blunt. It's all lies. I agree. Bad things do happen, but they're rare, and it doesn't mean it's going to happen to you. And I have interviewed, Lisa, so many solo backpackers who are women, motorcycle travelers who've been around the world as women. One of our very first interviews 10 years ago was Yolanda Rust, who did a solo trip around Africa.
Oh, and wow.
I just find it so inspiring and empowering, and I want everyone to know just exactly what you said. Caution is warranted, but don't let it stop you.
Absolutely. I just rambled a little bit about it, but yes, that's the bottom line. Absolutely.
Well, I think it's such a wonderful thing when people get past the stereotypes and they follow their heart.
Yeah, and if you're a dude and you see a woman out there solo hiking, just say, hey, how's it going? Please don't tell her, oh, what are you doing out here all by yourself? Don't do that. Don't be that guy.
Yeah, don't be that guy. Well, good on you for doing it. And you already mentioned that by going solo, you become more aware of your environment on some level, less distracted maybe, right?
Yeah.
How is that? I've already asked this question a little bit, but how did that inform your books? I mean, you write psychological thrillers, and you said they always end up in the woods somehow.
I do.
But how do you use that in your writing?
Well, experience is everything, right? I mean, you come across more like an authority in your writing, and as a narrator in your own work, when readers are following along, it just adds like all the little details,
Yeah.
the smell of the sage, and you are able to describe that smell on a warming spring day, whatever it is,
Sure.
that cinnamony, wonderful scent of sage. You don't have to look it up. You can speak from experience. And I think that those details add so much to the bigger picture and authenticity. It makes it that much more real for the reader as an experience.
I want to flip it. How much do you think writing about it has improved the experience that you have in nature?
Oh, that's a great question. I have never been asked that, but it's a wonderful question because I haven't thought about it, and you're absolutely right. It makes me I'm writing in my head sometimes. Right. I'm thinking I will use my phone. I have a voice app on my phone, and I will start talking when something grabs my attention that I think is worthy, that I'll want to use later in my work. I will talk it through, like, this smells like this, or this is what I'm seeing, but this is how it's making me feel right now. I take more note, and I'm not afraid to slow down now. That's took me a lot of years. I don't worry so much about hurrying up and getting there. The end goal, whether it be a hike or whatever it is, a paddle. If that looks like a great spot to fish, I'm going to sit there for an hour or two, tie my fly on, and take a few swings at it, see what happens. And it makes me think. I was in Yosemite this summer and got quite a ways from camp. I was camping and hiked down into a canyon about 4 or 5 miles. It's mostly all down. And I was coming back up, and it opened up, hailing, storming like I've never seen. Huge granite. So you've got water just rushing. There's no obvious trail. I'm by myself.
Wow.
And I'm getting a little freaked out, thinking, this is, a process. This is one mistake after the next is how bad things end up happening. It usually doesn't just happen randomly. It's a series of misfortunate events, right?
Right.
And I start thinking about this, like, this is going to hopefully this makes an interesting story later on at some point. So, I, take a lot of mental notes and see, how does it feel to be scared? I hope when I get back to camp, if I get back to camp, my tent hasn't washed away. My sleeping bag may be completely soaked. It's getting late. I kind of sort of start writing the story in my head, the scenario, which is kind of scary sometimes.
I interviewed Rory Ginsburg several weeks back, and we had such a fun time talking about it. But it came up that we journal when we travel. And he just really did a great, eloquent job of explaining how valuable that is. Because it helps to catalog the memories, store them a little bit, help you to remember them. I like to collect, I like to collect memories like treasures. And we forget so much. So I think that thinking about it in terms of what would I write about this?
Yeah, for sure. And I think too, like with those journals, like you're talking, I used to journal all the time. Now I do more of just talking into my phone.
Yeah.
I do usually have some sort of journal or take notes on my phone, but I have stacks of half-filled journals, mostly little tiny ones that can go in your backpack with you somewhere. But I always, like you said, you can go back and revisit. For me, I did this before I wrote True Nature. I started revisiting some of those old journals. And I mean, there was people that I met that I had forgotten all about and their names, and just that had me at their home, cooked dinner for me, took me to, places in Kauai that, you're not supposed to take anyone other than the locals, and
right.
Yeah, I think journaling now, looking back, is so beneficial, can be absolutely therapeutic.
Have you ever gone through all the hassles of getting on the plane, security, luggage, long waits at the airport, all that kind of stuff? And then when you finally arrive at your destination, not only are you worn out, but you also might feel a little bit disconnected. I know that I do when I hopscotch around the planet on a plane. That's one of the reasons why I love the great American road trips, where you get to drive from one place to another and connect all of those dots. You get to experience the changes in the terrain and the weather and the people and the communities. This is one reason that I am excited to present to you our new sponsor, Outdoorsy. Outdoorsy offers a different way to travel. With Outdoorsy, you can rent an RV or a camper and turn the drive into part of the vacation on your schedule with your people and with way more flexibility. Listen, most trips focus on getting somewhere. Outdoorsy is about the part in between. With Outdoorsy, you can rent an RV or a camper and travel on your own terms. No TSA lines, no strict schedules, no rushing through airports. And for extra convenience, Outdoorsy even offers RV delivery and setup in many locations, so you can enjoy the experience without having to worry about the logistics. Outdoorsy connects travelers with trusted RV owners across the country, making it easy to find a rig that fits your style and budget, and I might add, that also fits with the people and the pets that you want to take with you. So when you're ready for a trip that actually feels like a break, head to Outdoorsy.com. Outdoorsy is currently running a special promotion for listeners. Use the promo code ASP at checkout to take advantage of this limited time offer. That's Outdoorsy.com, promo code ASP. So I want to talk a little bit about True Nature, but just to kind of put the full story around this, you wrote the Calaveras. Do you trill the R when you say it?
No.
So you say Calaveras.
Calaveras, yes. We're kind of hillbillies up here.
So the Calaveras, it's based on a county name, and it's a series of books that are psychological thrillers. But they're all, listen to these titles. Blue Mountain, Forest Creek, Lonesome Dark. These are outside titles.
Yeah, and it was funny because that was so unintentional. Unintentional. So my publisher just did the audio versions, just came out. I think it started a little over a month ago. They started releasing one every month. And I got to revisit Blue Mountain, which I haven't read in years, about 4 years it's been out. And I couldn't believe how often they ended up when things were just at their worst. I put them in nature. I put them on some sort of adventurous course, and it wasn't intentional. And Forest Creek, I had that was originally written somewhat as a screenplay, and so I had that story in my mind for years because I actually had a situation where something similar happened to me while I was out hiking on a fall day, and I accidentally ran across a marijuana grower on his way out. And it scared me, and it scared him, and it really scared my dog. And so as an author, this was, I hadn't even written any fiction yet. It was mostly all just freelance type of work. All the way back to the car, like 5 or 6 miles, I was like, that guy I know he had a gun. He could have shot me. I could be dead right now just because I was in the wrong place at the wrong time. And so I had this whole idea, and I wrote the screenplay. It actually won some awards, never got made. But so it was easy, You just write from experience, the old cliche, write what you know.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think it's fun that nature has played a big part. But then you went nonfiction, and you wrote True Nature, Hidden in the High Sierra. And that was a big change for you. But what inspired that book? Obviously, it's nature, it's the mountains, but tell us about it.
AI had just become pretty big, and it was all the talk of the town, so to speak. AI is going to end all authors' careers, And I had just become a grandmother for the second time. I won a big award that allowed me to independently publish and cover all the costs of whatever book I chose to write. And it just felt 100% right. People had been asking, why don't you write nonfiction? I always read books that I feel it's like, so what? You as a reader, you're always asking, so what? So I thought, well, so what? I don't really have an extreme adventurous background. I haven't, climbed Everest or surfed the biggest waves or done, something incredible. I think what I've done is very basic, but also inspiring in a way that it shows you someone, a little bit older, a woman alone. You can do these things. You don't have to be extreme to get just as much benefit out of these adventures. So it started out as a hidden gem guidebook. And then the more I wrote, the more I started discovering that each of these hidden gems in the High Sierra really affected my life. Like they were milestones, each one of them in my life. In my 30 years in the backcountry, these places absolutely changed me.
Wow.
And once you got into the story and into each place, it was easy to stitch it all together.
Well, you said that each of these places changed you. Can you give us an example?
For example, there's a great hidden gem, one of the first stories in the book. I was delivering firewood back in the day as kind of a follow, side hustle. I would cut firewood and deliver it up around Kirkwood Ski Resort in California. And I was delivering a load of firewood to an older woman who kept asking me the same question over and over if I wanted some lemonade. And I just thought, it happens, right?
Right.
She asked me if I liked to hike. And I said, yeah, I love to hike. I had mostly only day hiked at that time. And she said, there is this great post pile up here. I said, do you mean Devil's Post Pile? Because there is a Devil's Post Pile down by Mammoth, California, Mammoth Lakes.
Okay.
And pretty well-known place, kind of a, amazing geographic wonder type of place that a lot of people will visit. And she told me, no, it's not that. I'm not going to give away the name of the place, but it's the name of the place. She kept repeating it, and I'd never heard of it. And I asked her if it was on maps, and she said, nope, it's not on any map, and there's no trail to it, and you'll probably never find it.
Wow. Okay.
So of course, that very day, she gave me a general idea of whereabouts it was. So I took off, tried to find it, spent about 4 hours hiking, saw nothing. Started making phone calls to people that I knew that area. They'd never heard of it. So I'm thinking this lady is just confused. And
she's still worried about the lemonade.
She's still worried about the lemonade. Exactly. Then I was up there again delivering firewood, not to her, to somebody else. So I said, well, I really, really, really want to see this place. And I was rodeoing at the time. I was a professional rodeo cowgirl. I was training barrel racing horses and competing and doing pretty well. And long story short, I tried 3-4 more times and failed to find this place. 4 times. So you're done. You're like, okay, I'm done. It doesn't exist, or it does, and I can't find it. And I accept my failure and time to move on. So I'm delivering a load of firewood to the restaurant. It's called Kirkwood Inn. It's an old stage stop. Great place. A bunch of my friends work there. I asked them if they'd heard of it. Nope, never heard of it. I am sitting at the bar after unloading a quart of firewood, drinking a beer and eating a burger, and these 2 older women walk in and sit down behind me at a table, and I hear Michelle's Post Pile. There's the name. And I swung around like the girl in The Exorcist. And I said, what did you just say? And she goes, yeah. I said, is this place for real? This Michelle's Post Pile? And she said, yes. I used to go there when I was a girl. And I have a map in a book at my cabin if you want to come and get it. So
really?
I did. I went to go get the map, and she found the book, but not the map. So, another like, up and down. But she pointed me in a different direction. And that day, after about 2 hours, she was very specific on what to look for. And I believed her that it existed. So now I was like, I'm finding this place. I don't care what it takes, how many days I have to come back. I'm finding this place. And I found it later that day. And I was just amazed by it. It was absolutely this incredible, millions of years old post pile. And you could climb up to the top and there's these giant mauve colored lava bubbles like they'd been petrified and frozen, when they were hot and about to burst. And I just sat up there. There's a rock that I swear is made to lay on. So I got on this rock and I'm, just looking up at the sky and thinking, I was so filled with gratitude. And I thought, I don't get this with the horses or the rodeo or winning. I could win the biggest barrel race. I didn't feel fulfilled as I did that day finding that post pile. And I thought, I am done. I'm selling my horses. My rodeo career's over. And that was a huge aha moment.
Wow.
And that's how it changed my course of my life that day.
That's amazing.
It absolutely was amazing. And that, I hadn't thought about it till I started writing the story. And I was like, I remember that day as clear as a bell. I remember the decision. And I just had never really revisited it. I had written about this post pile where it was. I got some hate mail, which is understandable, but it's not an easy place to find. So you're not typically going to get the people that leave, garbage and spray paint on rocks. It's a very difficult place to find.
Wow. Well, I think that going to nature, I'm not sure the psychological effect. You're the psychological thriller writer, so maybe we can dive into that a little bit, but it takes me somewhere that I don't go otherwise in my mind. It wakes up things. I don't even know how to describe it. You can see I'm stumbling over my words just trying to come up with it. But you go somewhere and you sit down, you're having a new experience, and all of a sudden life starts making more sense somehow. I did not expect that twist at the end. I gave up rodeo.
Yeah, I didn't expect it either that day. I wasn't planning. I hadn't even thought about it. It was just this, this is how old I am, an Oprah aha moment. I hadn't even been thinking about it. I hadn't really, I just wasn't enjoying it as much. And, that was my whole world, my family, my friends. That's like walking away. And everybody absolutely thought she has lost her mind. There's got to be something wrong. Why would she quit? I mean, I was winning. It's not like if you're not doing well and you're struggling and it's too hard and you just feel it's not worth it, that's a different thing. Yeah. But I was winning. And I was selling horses for a lot of money. Now I'm thinking maybe I should go back to that. There's some good money in those horses, especially these days. But yeah, I hadn't even thought about it. And so that's what I'm saying. I realized how grateful I was and what that thing, right? That nature thing, being up there just alone and hearing just silence other than a slight breeze. And I've never done psychedelics, but I swear I'm from what I've read, it feels like it might be very similar, into being in tune with nature and being able to actually feel the world around you. And that's what it did for me that day. And along with, holy crap, I did it. I did it. I found this place that they said didn't exist except for the old lady with the lemonade,
Right. I totally understand that part. When you try for something and it doesn't work, and you try again, and you try again, and it kind of becomes, even if it's not like, oh, it's going to change my life.
No.
Which in this case it did. But when you finally get there, it makes it all the more worthwhile because of the energy you put into it, the focus you put into it. I don't know. It's part of why I love climbing mountains.
Well, and if I would have found it the first day on the first try after a few hours, I'd have been, this place is cool. Pretty awesome. Okay. End of story. Go on with your life.
So describe a post pile. Is it like the basalt stacks that you see some places, or what is it?
It is basalt. It is basalt. This has more of a red tinged to it.
Okay.
6-sided columns.
Hexagonal.
Yeah. And millions of them. These ones are vertical.
Yeah. That's cool.
And they're big ones. And what's cool is that you can climb to the top. You're not climbing on the columns. There's a trail that goes. I mean, it's not a real trail, but it's like a nature trail that kind of goes right along it, and you can work your way up from the back side and get up there and just walk around on top of this post pile, which you're walking on top of the columns, but they don't look like flat columns. It looks like giant, oh gosh, I don't know, 3-4 foot bubbles that were, you're thinking volcanic, molten, and it's about to, that's how I looked at it. That's the writer, right? Assessing as you're going along, how would I describe this? It's incredible. And what it did, because like I said, it's not easy. There's no obvious trail to it. And I didn't have GPS. Now it's on a map. And in fact, there's a fun little side note. I got an email from a reader. Gosh, this just almost made the whole process of putting myself out there and writing this book worth it. She sent me the longest email, but so heartfelt about, she was going through a divorce, 2 little kids, feeling very vulnerable, very desperate. And she got a hold of my book somehow. And she said, it gave me hope. This book gave me hope. She goes, I don't know. I'm not an outdoorsy person. She said, but I feel absolutely inspired to try. And would you ever consider taking me on a hike?
Wow.
And I thought, on a hike? I could take you on a hike. Like, how hard is that? Like, let's meet up somewhere. So I told her a place to meet up. And after a few weeks, we did it. And I took her to Michelle's post pile. We got lost because I said, no GPS, we're not doing that. And it had been years since I had been there. And it wasn't her, it was me, turned around, kind of went in a circle for about 40 minutes and gave up. I could have downloaded the map to it before, but I figured I knew where I was going. But this was the fun part of failure, was that when we backtracked, got back to where we possibly made the mistake. And I said, now it's up to you. It's getting a little bit late. We've been hiking for about 4 hours when it doesn't take but about 2 or 3 to get there. Do you want to go back and we can try it again another day? And I was kind of hoping she'd say, let's just go back and try it another day, because my knee was hurting. And she said, I do not want to go back. I want to at least try. And I said, okay, let's do this. And boom, we're there. Another hour later, we're there. And she just felt so, I think it really hit her. This was the place I had read about. I wanted to go. And here I am. I did it. I'm here. She was so thankful. And I don't know, if that made any difference whatsoever, but it sure felt like it did. And for her to put herself out there and email me and ask me to take her hiking, like just to make her feel better, that was an absolute privilege on my part, an absolute privilege. It was a great day in so many ways.
That's fun. And a memory. I love the way that you're retelling the story of this, but I can see the excitement. I can see you reflecting on it. And that's why I collect memories. I just really think they're so valuable, and you made a great memory that day. Yeah. And the fun thing, too, is that you got lost going back to the place you had found. I love that, because that's part of what nature is about. It's always mysterious. It's surprising. It'll take you places you didn't expect. And that's why we should go. That's the adventure of it,
Yeah, and we were laughing about it. I mean, type 2 fun, right? It was a lot more fun when we got back afterwards about getting lost, because I felt like just so ignorant. I was so mad at myself for not downloading the map, but overconfident that I could find the place that I had written about. Yeah, but it was a good reminder too, be prepared. I just assumed I knew how to get there and thought my memory would come back as I went. But there was a lot more downed trees in my defense. There was so many downed trees.
Things do change. This fall, late, it was after the first snow, but it had kind of melted off for the most part. I decided to go to a place I just call the Beaver Pond. Mm-hmm. I don't know that it has a name. I don't know the name of the stream that it's on. I don't know anything about it except it's this beaver pond. And I hadn't been there for a couple of years, but I thought I need a hike today, and I should go try to see if I can get in there before the snow closes it down for the season. When I got there, I did find it, but when I got there, I almost didn't recognize it. And here's what nature taught me from this hike. The beavers had nearly cleared a forest of aspen.
Yep.
And the beaver dam was about the same size it had ever been, but this is a big beaver dam. It's probably 10 feet tall.
Oh, wow.
And there were new beaver ponds that weren't there before. Used to, there was one, maybe two, now there's 6, but it was still beautiful. And as I sat there looking at how much work these little critters had done, I was just blown away. But what it made me think of, Lisa, was like writing my book.
Yeah.
If you do something consistently, look how much progress you make over time. What you can achieve by doing a little at a time and just sticking with it. And that's what the beavers did. And I thought, wow, I couldn't imagine the amount of work, just the amount of physical work involved. They have transformed the landscape. And it's beautiful now. It's beaver pond, beaver pond, beaver pond, beaver pond. It's a habitat for trout. It's a habitat for, it's really cool, salamanders.
Yeah.
They're amazing salamanders in these beaver ponds. And I guess the point is, I never expected to learn that lesson from going on a hike that day. But it was a really amazing reminder. If we have a dream and you do something to achieve the dream, you just chip away at it a little bit every day, you can move mountains that way.
Well, absolutely. I mean, what were the odds of me trying to find this post pile, failing over and over, and sitting at a bar having a beer and a burger, and these 2 old women coming in and talking about this post pile I had been trying to find for weeks. Now, come on, what is that? That's something beyond,
found
just
you.
Coincidence.
It found you.
Yes. I think, the universe said, this poor chick, let's cut her some slack, huh?
Well, that's another point in the story, I think, is whenever you have an intention towards something, maybe it just builds our awareness. It's kind of like when you buy a car and you've never seen a car like it before, and you're so happy to have a unique car, and then the next week you see 12 others just like it, because you start to notice. But it's more than that when it comes to these sorts of experiences. When you focus your attention and intention on something, then the doors start to open. It leads to the end result, whatever it's going to be.
And I think that's important. You bring up a really, really great point, is that I don't think by trying to tell someone you should go hike or you should go do this or nature therapy, that. I think just get out there and be open to whatever happens. Don't expect an epiphany. Because the universe is going to do what it's going to do, or nature's going to do what she's going to do. You just have to be open and let it come as it will.
I've heard, this was something that I heard about raising children. You can't, so the quality time is what we're looking for, that big experience. But you can't plan for that. You can't make it happen. It's the quantity of time that creates those experiences and those memories. Because if you spend enough time in nature, you will see magical things, right? Mysteries and beauty, and you'll have experiences and things will happen. You'll be like, wow.
Well, and that was an interesting thing too. In the book, one of the first editors, when it was just kind of a big, mess of stories and I wasn't sure where exactly I was going with that, just all these experiences, these adventures in nature in the Sierra. And one of his comments to me was, wow, you sure have had like a lot of crazy things have happened to you. And I said, you know what? Not if you took the overall picture.
Right.
This is 30 years being in the backcountry. Most of the time, nothing spectacular happens. Or, my significant other isn't always licked in the face by a bear. Or, I don't always fall in the river and almost drown. These are the stories based off the hidden gems, but sometimes just being, like you say, the quantity of time that I have spent in the backcountry in the Sierra, you're going to inevitably have these adventures, these events that kind of stand out, highlights.
Book worthy.
Yeah.
So what was the intention behind writing the book? Again, the name of the book is True Nature, Hidden in the High Sierra. So we heard the one story, Post Pile, Devil's Post Pile. What was that? Yeah. Anyway, was it just to kind of archive these experiences, or does the book have another purpose?
I have to be honest. The main purpose, the convincing number one factor, was probably becoming a grandmother again for the second time and thinking, I'm getting old. I've had so many close calls. And If I die, this is the book I want my grandchildren to read, not how, psychologically twisted my thrillers are. So I would say that was kind of the kicker for sure and that's who I dedicated the book to is my grandchildren. But in the end, just to get people to maybe be inspired that these aren't these crazy, super extreme adventures. It's all perspective. I call it personal stoke. And I talk about that in the book too. That was a story I had written for, can we say REI back in the day, about as we age and finding that will to still get out there and adventure, because it's so much easier to sit on the couch, when your back is hurting, your knees are hurting, and you've got all these reasons to stay home and you keep thinking, I'll go tomorrow. And I think each story adds not only a way to a realistic way to get out and do something, it adds the reason why you should. Like I talked about how it changed me. I think if you're open and spend some quality and quantity time out in nature, and I think there is something to being alone out there. And maybe that sounds really scary and you shouldn't do that at first if it's just absolutely terrifying. You should probably start out with a simple little day hike or go with somebody more experienced than you that you have confidence in. But that's what it's turned out to be. But the original inspiration for the story was purely for my grandchildren. And now it's turned into, I'm getting these emails or I'm getting these, comments on social media. I read your book. I did this. Will you take me to this place? I'll pay you. So it's been very positive. It's been really positive. And what's really cool for me is getting responses. I don't want to sound like I'm talking about the book too much, but this is a cool thing that the non-outdoorsy people have no interest in going and doing something adventurous can still relate and say how much they appreciated the stories, the heart and the emotion of the stories. So that was also a huge thing because it's scary. I don't like nonfiction. I don't like putting myself out there. I did not like it at all. And I can't wait to get back to like murder and mayhem. It's much easier.
That's funny. I wanted to share something with you and get your opinion or something for you to reflect on, because I think it could be related to what happened with your book a little bit. So it's been 2 or 3 years. For some reason, my mind drifted into the thought that we experience life through filters. We interpret things based on our preconceived ideas, our understanding of the world around us, or, all sorts of things. But we actually get to choose how we want to encounter an experience. So when I go into nature, it's real easy to be scientific. I can look at things and I can think about physics or botany or biology and start explaining everything in those terms. Or I can stop and look at it and see the wonder of it all without the explanation, without saying, well, I know why that happened. That's because of this, 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 and this. I can just go, wow, that happened.
Yeah.
But here's a quick little anecdote. I went solo backpacking in the dark after work, off trail, of course, above tree line. And as I'm going, I didn't take a flashlight because I don't like flashlights much. And so you can imagine what this is turning into. I'm stumbling around in the dark. There's no moon. I mean, it was really dark, pitch black. And I hiked up on a bull elk. It was during the rut. And so he was scraping the felt off his horns on some willow bushes. But I couldn't see him. But I heard him, and he was very close. And I just froze. I was very, very still. And he caught my scent or something. And so he froze. I could hear him breathing. He's trying to figure out what's going on. And I'm thinking, man, what is the best thing to do in this situation? It was so dark. You couldn't see the hand in front of your face. And I finally just said, I'm going to let him know I'm here. So I just said, hello, Mr. Elk, whatever. And so he bolted. But what surprised me, maybe he could see better or he knew the trail or whatever, but he ran toward me instead of away from me. And he ended up passing right by me on the trail, and I never saw him. But the ground shook, the thunder of his hooves. And I thought, I don't know how close he was, but I could have reached out and touched him. Never saw him. And how do you want to interpret that life experience? And over the years, as I reflect on it, it has impacted me in different ways, right? You could say, well, you're an idiot. You're hiking in the dark off trail without a flashlight, and you could have been gored by an elk. That would be one interpretation. Another interpretation is, what a gift.
You'll never forget that. I bet you can easily go back there in your mind any moment and hear it, and just because of also not being able to see and being in the dark, your audio, right, is heightened. Yeah. Your sense of smell is heightened. Your nerves are firing. Your adrenaline's rushing through you. Time probably slowed down a little bit. You'll never forget that experience. And how many other people can say that? Are you kidding? That's amazing.
Well, what's been interesting to me is the different ways it's impacted me. And this is just one example. And I think what you're writing about in your book provides those sorts of opportunities too. It's like, well, it meant one thing to me then, but I've even more recently said big, dangerous things in the dark, the unknown, the unseen, stuff that we fear but isn't there to hurt us. You know, that sort of generalization that actually is like, yeah, I've had that experience and life is often like that and that's okay, you know?
Yeah. I mean, it makes me think, I've done accidentally some hiking in the dark. I didn't like it. It was on a trail. I had a headlamp. I was still petrified. It was on the Tahoe Rim Trail, and I was clapping and singing, and I realized I do not know the words completely to one entire song. Like, it's like right. Jingle bells. But I also had a close encounter with a big humpback whale paddleboarding near Cayucas. That sucker was under my paddleboard. It was coming up. Now, there's that line, right? Like your elk, to where it's such a fine line. Like if he jumps and takes me down, I'm trying to outthink this. I'm playing right. This scenario through my mind as when this thing comes up, because he had come up a few times, and what he's going to do is, backflip thing, and I'm going under. There's no point in fighting. Just hand it over to nature, right? Because take a deep breath and just see what happens. And that was one of the most amazing experiences of my life. Yeah, I could say I could have been killed easily, just like your elk. I mean, 1 inch probably the other way, and you'd have a little different story, right?
Sure, it could happen.
Yeah, but I mean, that's what makes life worth living. Those experiences, especially when we get old and won't be able to get out of bed. That's all we're going to have.
Oh, it's fun to build those memories, and they can feed us and inform us for decades. They really can.
Hopefully others.
Well, I love the sound of your book, True Nature, Hidden in the High Sierra. I would like to talk to you for another couple of hours, but I think we're out of time. So,
I can't believe it's already been an hour.
I know it has.
Went by so fast.
It's so fun, and that was a beautiful place to wrap this up, too. The way that nature impacts us. Not every hike is going to inform the rest of your life, but some will, right?
Yes.
And so that's what you were writing about in your book. I think that's really, really cool. Well, thank you so much, Lisa, for coming on the program. And, at the end of each show, I always say get out there and have some fun somehow. And I never know quite the right way to say it for that show. But this time, I think it might be just get out there.
Yeah.
Because something amazing is going to happen.
If you can't get out there, if you're snowed in, like happens to us a lot, and the power's out, you can read a book. Get your headlamp out and read a book. Doesn't have to be mine. Pick up a book and read it. Read about other people's adventures. That's inspiring, and you might find a new event you like to do.
Yeah, I love it. Well, everyone out there, get out there and have an experience.
There you go. Thank you, Kurt.